Well, thank you all for being here. It's really great to have this many people come out this evening. My name is Gregory Frankel. I am the president of the Coconut Grove Democratic Club. I do want to introduce our moderator, Don Finefrock, who lived in Coconut Grove more than 30 years. He moved to Miami in 1987 to become a business writer for the United Press International. He spent 10 years at the Miami Herald, where he, for 2 years, led the reporting on Hurricane Andrew, won a Pulitzer Prize for that work. After leaving the Herald, he spent 3 years investigating public corruption at the Miami-Dade Commission on Ethics before joining the National Park Foundation to lead its South Florida affiliate. He served as executive director of the South Florida National Parks Trust for 15 years before retiring. Now he's editor of the Coconut Grove Spotlight, and we're very thankful for the Spotlight and for Don for being here, and I'll turn it over and let it go.
So for those who are interested, you can find us at coconutgrovespotlight.com on the web. We're all digital, nonprofit, independent newsroom. So that was probably more than you wanted to know about me, so let's get into the show. First, some rules about tonight. The candidates on stage will have 2 minutes for an opening statement at the beginning of the program and a closing statement at the end. There'll be questions from the moderator. Candidates will have 1 minute to respond. A timekeeper will let you know when you have 10 seconds remaining, a single sound of the bell, and again when your time is up. Two.
That's how many seconds?
One,
that's 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Another one is.
Yeah. So candidates should direct their answers to the audience and questions to the moderator. No crosstalk among candidates, please. This is a forum, not a debate. Be respectful, no personal attacks, please. If one candidate mentions a second candidate by name, the second candidate will have 30 seconds to respond. If a candidate would like to respond to a question posed to another candidate, they can do so when they're called on the next time. Audience members may applaud at any time. Please don't boo. No catcalls and no interruptions. For audience portion of the program, please, no statements. Just questions, and direct your question to a specific candidate. So we've got a lot of ground to cover tonight, so let's get started. I want to briefly introduce the candidates before opening statements. We have on the far end there, Ken Russell is a former Miami City Commissioner for District 2. He represented Coconut Grove, Brickell, downtown Miami, and other neighborhoods. Eileen Higgins, next to Ken, is a Miami-Dade County Commissioner who represents Miami's urban core and neighborhoods like The Roads, Silver Bluff, and Shenandoah. Michael Hepburn is a sports and entertainment executive and also the executive director of Reimagine Miami Foundation. In 2021, he ran for the Miami City Commission seat, District 5, representing Overtown, Little Haiti, and Liberty City. And finally, we have Elijah Baudre. He's an entrepreneur with a financial background who has served on the county's cryptocurrency task force. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. First question is about affordable housing. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, opening statements. Ken, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Thank you, Don, and definitely thank you to St. James and Pastor Williams. It's a very welcoming church if you all haven't been here before, and especially the candidates. I was here a few months ago and felt very welcome and at home, and over the last 7 months now, almost every weekend spent at a different house of worship throughout Miami. This morning I spent 2 hours in silence with the Quakers. And my 3 hours here at Baptist Church was not silent. I definitely believe in the separation of church and state, in that the government doesn't tell us what to worship or believe, but I do believe that churches are a huge fabric of our community that provide guidance, and definitely a lot of Miami politicians could use a little more Jesus. But it's a great venue for us, and I really thank you, Pastor. So I walked here. I live 1 mile that way, and I was born 1 mile that way. And I came from my home this evening where my wife, Juliana, is a veterinarian, along with our 3 cats and dog, rescue animals, my 2 daughters, 11 and 12, but not my son, who is 23. He just graduated college, and he did not come back to Miami. He found a job in Dallas. Thank God, because I wasn't going to take him back in. But he also didn't find Miami as an option for him to be here. Because he graduated, he's got a degree, he's ready to work, but the pay is too low here and the rent is too high. Miami is not affordable and our youth is moving away. Our elderly are having trouble holding on. So tonight's big theme is going to be affordability. I guarantee you we're going to answer many questions about it. We're going to talk and you're going to see a lot of differences between us with our policy objectives. And hopefully we really get into more policy than we did on Tuesday night, because this is a good crowd that cares about those things. We can't afford corruption anymore, because corruption is what's keeping us from solving these issues, and we're going to get a lot into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Higgins?
Well, hello, everybody. It's really nice to be around our people tonight, isn't it, guys? I know many of you. I'm Eileen Higgins. I've had the great pleasure of serving as the District 5 County Commissioner. I'm in my 8th year of service, representing about 1/3 of the city of Miami. Let me tell you a little bit about myself, for those of you that have never met me before. I grew up in New Mexico, one of the other states where the national language is Spanglish. So I feel pretty at home here in our beautiful town of Miami. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, so I got my start in manufacturing and continued my work in the private sector, and over the years, slowly but surely, got promoted and ran some pretty large divisions of companies you've probably heard about. As one gets promoted, they get to participate in some professional development, and I was at a retreat, and one of the exercises was to write your own obituary. And the next day when that was processed, the question was, what did you like and what was missing? A year later, I quit my job. I was the director of the Peace Corps in Belize, and then continued to serve this nation as a diplomat in the Foreign Service. So when I settled in Miami, I wanted to keep making a difference. I wanted to continue giving back to this community. And so in 2018, I ran for office unexpectedly in a very, very heavily Republican seat and flipped it. It had been in Republican hands for 25 years. I've continued to serve, and since that time I put my engineering skills to work, building housing, working on resiliency, supporting small businesses, and getting things done.
Mr. Heckman?
Since I'm in the house of the Lord, it always is a cool reflection point for me. So allow me to reintroduce myself. So I am Michael A. Hepburn, and my family has resided in this city since 1896, right? I'm actually related to Briss Williams from my Pearlie Mae Baldwin and Williams family side, from my mom. That was actually one of the 161 black men that was a part of the incorporation papers of the city, right? That made 44% of the folks that they needed in order to even create the city of Miami. So growing up in this city, as you probably can imagine, there's been a lot of conversations in my family about who we are, what power we have, what we can do, but also what we can become. So this is the cool part. I remember, man, I'm 43 years old now, right? So don't let the good looks fool you. I'm 43. But 20 years ago, y'all, I was the elected SGA Vice President at Florida International University. This fall semester, it is September 20th, and I'm talking to my cabinet and some of my chief of staff and other members, and I'm having a conversation with them about how, hopefully, once we graduate from school, they would join me in trying to pour life into the dreams and goals of our people, right? This 20 years ago. During that conversation, when I ended, I was like, heck, 20 years from now, y'all, I'm probably gonna be the mayor of the city. Let's fast forward, because God is funny. On September 20th was the day that we actually had to qualify, well, the last day to qualify to run for mayor and city commissioner in this city. So I say that to say this: as much as I have been active in this city, and great job, letting them know my professional background, being a director and sports executive in sports entertainment industry, and running a nonprofit, and being a political scientist, helping folks throughout this country run for office and pass policy. The most important thing I can do is make sure that I am standing this fight to hopefully have you believe that you can make a difference as well.
Thank you. Mr. Gregory?
Thank you so much. Being in the house of the Lord, I have to say that God is good. All right, some of you guys know it's and all the time. And God has certainly been great to Miami. We live in one of the most incredible time periods in Earth human history. The changes that are happening are barely perceived by the people who are actually doing them, let alone our government. This causes complacency, right? That latency causes the inefficiencies. Steve Jobs said that an inefficient system increases inefficiencies, and an efficient one increases efficiencies. Well, in a municipality, those inefficiencies equal humiliation, equals degradation, equals more domestic violence, more child abandonment, more homelessness, more alcohol abuse, more need for the essential systems and services that service those who fall off the rung of the ladder as they climb up to success. We understand that in this system that the graft from the latency creates silly surpluses and devastating deficits. Even right now, I appreciate you giving the background, but the first thing I would say, outside of working on the crypto task force, is I was the chairman of that task force. Right? But before that, I was the secretary of the Millennial Advisory Board for the county, synthesizing policy to address what you guys have been talking about, brain drain. Right? But all the factors that attribute to the actual pain or the increased hopelessness or that squeezing feeling that people can't quite explain, can come through efficiency of government, and people who will actually have solutions to bring in world markets, but to actually do it for the people who live here, and not just the corporations or the rich that's here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we'll get to the questions. So the first question, not surprisingly, is about affordable housing, but I want to ask the question in a very specific way, and I would like to start with you, Commissioner Higgins.
Sure.
The county approved 2 housing projects this year with 795 new apartments on Douglas Road between Grand Avenue and US 1. Both projects will be built on public land under county zoning rules that allow for taller buildings near public transit. 370 of those apartments, 45%, will be reserved for low-income and working families. But there will be no preference given to current Coconut Grove residents or those who have been pushed out by gentrification. The apartments will be packed into 2 20-story towers that back up to single-family homes. You have been a strong advocate for these types of projects. My question, is there a better way to build affordable housing that respects the historic character of neighborhoods like Little Bahamas and ensures that families who have lived here for generations can stay here?
Well, let me give you an example of an area where I've worked on a similar problem, and I represent Little Havana. So we have a beautiful site on the Miami River that had 800 units of dilapidated public housing that were all for seniors. And we really needed to repair these buildings, right? You can't have people living without air conditioning and without a broken air conditioning. And they were very afraid as we were starting that project that they would be gentrified out of the neighborhood. We cannot be gentrifying people out of the neighborhood. So we took the first step of building a first new building so we could move all the folks in from the other buildings so that they knew we were not going to displace them. And now if you go into the River Park area, every one of those elderly people is living in a brand new unit, in a renovated unit. They're also living in a place with a river walk, with young people, with a playground, and with a linear park. So done properly and carefully, You will not displace people.
So Commissioner Russell, I know you have some thoughts about this.
Thank you. The county's process is not a good process for communities of need and communities that are getting displaced. Yes, these projects are going to be over 20 stories tall and not in fitting with the neighborhood. There's going to be no successional zoning because the county's rapid transit zoning, of which Commissioner Higgins is a big proponent, actually overrides Miami 21. So it's very hard to think that maybe you'll come in and suddenly be an advocate for our zoning code, which is getting stepped on by RTZ, because that does not have local preference, and that is the big thing that I fought for during my 8 years, to make sure any project that came here did not include the federal tax dollars that would force that. They call it compartmentalization of poverty. We call it keeping a neighborhood together. And if a commissioner delivers a project and it doesn't have units for your neighborhood, you have not succeeded. So I hope we have more questions about affordable housing, because I would like to talk about the flip side of that coin of how it can be done and should be done in this community.
Thank you. Mr. Hepburn, you grew up in Miami, near where the county is redeveloping Liberty Square, the former Pork and Beans project. That project has divided a neighborhood. What are your thoughts?
Two things. One, I think when Commissioner Russell mentioned the zoning issue that we have with the county and the city, very, very fair, very true. But we also have to have some real conversations. When the commissioner was with the commission, we still haven't passed a comprehensive affordable housing master plan in the city of Miami. So before we can even have conversations about affordable housing and displacement, can we actually get serious about having a coordinated plan of how we want to rehab, develop, and preserve housing opportunities in our city? So that's one. My mom grew up in Liberty Square, right? So very close to that situation. But the truth is this: we have these great things called community benefit agreements that regular people, we the people, are never sit at the table to actually have some real influence. We have community redevelopment agencies that we the people normally aren't sitting at those tables either to have some real conversations about what developers we're using and how they're going to invest in to build these upcoming units for folks. So the truth is this, y'all. We need to push forward in a new way of like community land trusts, right? Having more natural occurring affordable housing purchases because we actually finance them through our government, those type of concepts compared to just doing the things that we normally do.
My name was mentioned, if I could rebut. 30 seconds? Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. The city actually does have a comprehensive plan. It was done at great expense and time. It took over a year. We hired FIU's Metropolitan Center to come in and analyze exactly what our affordable housing crisis was and then give us the plan to address it. The commissioners accepted that plan, so it does exist within the city, but they refused to implement it. They refused to implement it because it took their power away from shaking down developers. So we need to bring that back, and that's what I'll do as mayor.
Thank you. So your comment, Mr. Hepburn, is a nice segue to Mr. Baudret, who has a finance background. So what are your thoughts about the best way to build housing that people can afford?
Well, the first way is to actually take an assessment of what's actually going on. All right, so right now, when I first moved back to Miami, I did the compliance on a project called the Miami-Dade Center. Right, so that actually had a huge impact on downtown as well as our district. And so with that, I actually became a University of Miami Affordable Housing Fellow, and I partnered with the South Florida Development Corporation. What we found was that there are many developers who can be incentivized. Right? They want to come to Miami. Right? Miami is not the hottest city in America. It's the hottest city in the world. Right? Having a mayor and have leadership who can actually speak to these developers, but actually understand what actually the different impact fees, what their actual costs are, their density, how we can change their incentives to make money to come here, but to do it in a way that actually builds affordable housing as well. And so, as liaison, we oversee many of the projects in construction.
Thank you. Second question. I'd like to stay on the topic of development for this question and start with you, Commissioner Russell. The City of Miami has said it will allow a developer to build an 8-story luxury condominium project on Tiger Tail Avenue in Coconut Grove. That's 3 stories more than would normally be allowed because the project is within 1 mile of Metrorail. Apparently, the theory is that someone who buys a $2 million condominium in Miami will be willing to get on a bus in Miami or walk that mile to Metrorail. So critics say this is a giveaway to developers, one that doesn't serve public interest and harms the historic character and charm of Coconut Grove. What would you do as mayor to protect Miami from overdevelopment and crushing traffic and preserve the integrity of the city's historic neighborhoods?
Can you tell our moderator is a Coconut Grove development writer? We may have a lot of questions about this, and it's very, very important. That particular case was a violation of our process. This is where things happen on the commission at dais without public notice. And things are passed without even being read into the record, much less you knowing what's happening until you see it getting built. And that's horrible. That alone needs to stop, and that's a process that's only begun this last couple of years. When I was there, they would absolutely stop something in its tracks if it needed to be noticed again for significant changes like that. But beyond that, this is also a symptom of what the county, if you notice along transit, there's this facade of housing density. You'll see a massive intensity and density at each one of the train stations. This is the rapid transit zoning that I'm talking about that usurps our code. And it does not have the mandatory requirements for true affordability, and it assumes that all of those folks are going to be riding that train. It is a developer giveaway. It does not actually provide the affordability nor the transit solutions that we need.
Thank you. Commissioner Higgins?
So, the developments that are near the transit station tend to be on county land. County's land is the people's land. If I asked every single person in this room what's the #1 crisis affecting our community, you're all going to say affordable housing. The reason we say that is our community is short 300,000 units of affordable housing. So what we're building along Transitway, you must include 12.5% workforce housing, but when it's a county RFP process, sometimes we have 30% of the units that are renting for less than $300 a month. And then you have workforce units, and sure, there's some market rate ones who are helping us subsidize all of that. Commissioner Russell said that he would reject all funding sources for affordable housing, which is federal funding sources, which is why the city of Miami would never have built any housing. While he was on the commission, I built thousands of units of affordable housing, and there's another couple thousand in the pipeline. If we are going to solve this crisis, we have got to find a way for our young people to get a degree and move into an apartment, for our grandparents to retire. It is absolutely critical that affordable housing get built. I've done it, and I'll do it at the city.
Thank you. Commissioner Russell, 30 seconds.
I never said that we would reject any funding, but I'll tell you one funding that I haven't received is $50,000 from George Perez and the Related Corporation, who won the bid for the 20-store tower that's coming into Coconut Grove without a majority of true affordable units. When they say workforce, it doesn't cut the mustard for us and what we need. Our solution that can avoid federal funding, which keeps us from doing neighborhood preference, is the Community Redevelopment Agency. I passed one for $500 million here in the West Grove, in Little Bahamas, and the county has kept us from spending a single dollar of it.
Thank you. All right. I was going to jump to a new question, but if you'd like to answer that question.
Just a quick, yeah.
Sure.
Well,
Quick 30 seconds. Let's level set a little bit. We're listening to a commissioner that just brought up this statement that actually quit from the commission in order to actually help us push through that CRA. We're talking about policy that's taking place in our city, and the people to my left actually take money from the engineering firms, the lobbyists, the developers, the real estate. Like, do y'all understand the craziness of that statement? But hopefully y'all pick that up, because I'm telling y'all, this is a little foul.
there you go.
There you go. Do you want to comment on that, or do you want to move on to the next question?
I will comment on that, actually. What you're both saying is correct. It seems traditional, but one thing I've learned of working in government is that because something is broken, don't assume that it's not working correctly. Right? These systems are created like this so that you can put the money into large sources so that they can be robbed, right? But we have solutions like the blockchain, like an immutable ledger, right? That's open. If it's our money, it should be open. Everything should be open. Everything should be on the block, right? So that I can steal it, no one can steal it. There's no even inference of impropriety, right? We need our government on the blockchain.
Thank you. All right, next question, Miami's economy. And this is, I'd like to start with you, Mr. Hepburn. A recent study by the United Way of Miami found that more than 40% of all working families in the county struggle to make ends meet, to pay for housing and health care, food, transportation, and childcare. Another 15% are in poverty. That's more than half of all the families that are living in our community. What would you do to help working families, to make Miami more affordable, to support small businesses, and create jobs that can support a family?
Listen, y'all, I am in this fight for one reason only, and that is to lower the cost of living for working class people in my city. Okay, period. Every policy idea that I push forward, all 44 initiatives that I got from my community, is to do just that, okay? So I know I can't say all of them in one minute, but I want y'all to understand this. The median age of my city is me. I'm 43, it's about 41, 42 years old. The median income of a household in my city is $60,000 majority, but vast majority of folks is about $40,000 or less. So all of these lovely conversations that we're having with these buzzwords of affordable housing means what when you're making $40,000 and I'm not eligible for half the stuff that my peers on the left is talking about. Let alone wages just finally got up to what, minimum wage, $14 in the city that we live in, right? That's a joke. And then on top of that, let's have some real conversations about civic engagement in the city where people don't even know what city they live in. If I ask somebody if they in the county or in the city, y'all be amazed of the answers I get. So I'm telling y'all, there's so many other bigger issues to even get us to this point of the conversation, and hopefully we can actually do that tonight.
Mr. Beaudry, same question.
Good question.
Yeah. What would you do to help working families, to make Miami more affordable, to support small businesses, and create jobs that can support a family?
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, we all feel that, $20 isn't $20 anymore. Right? There's people in this city that are working two and three jobs already and have to sleep in their car. Right? We hear about it's a second home to the most centimillionaires in the world. We have FIFA coming. We have the World G20 Summit that's coming. What I would do is harness the actual brand of Miami. Right? CiviSync, syncing up all of our actual sectors, the resources that we have that's already there and actually allocated for us, but a lot of times go wasted, right? As the Overtime Community Oversight Board Liaison, it was my job to take the actual allocations from a lot of the developers, many of the developers from downtown, but make sure that it worked its way through the actual machinery of Miami-Dade County into their hands. And a lot of times it didn't, right? But also, I talk with many people who have different grants or programs or budgets that's for them, and they just don't know about it. Right, so we spend all this time trying to advertise, trying to market, when there's a number of different things that can be aggregated to each person's individual experience to help them what we already offer, our services and resources. Right.
Thank you. Commissioner Higgins?
Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. But during the pandemic, I think many of you noticed that none of them were having access to the PPP loans or the SBA loans. And so in response to that, I created a program called Elevate Small Business. When we launched it 3 years ago and a little, we've already helped 1,000 of the 8,000 small businesses in my district. This program has been completely comprehensive. It trains small business owners in everything from marketing to financial management, now even things like artificial intelligence for operations. But most importantly, I'm preparing these small businesses for access to capital. I've launched the county's only 2 publicly funded revolving loan funds, the Rise Miami-Dade Fund, which now is capitalized at over $30 million, and the New Heights Microloan Fund. These are small business owners that could never get an SBA loan if I had not launched these programs. So if you're a small business owner, go check them out. If our small businesses fail, we fail as an economy.
Thank you. Commissioner Russell?
We need to support labor in our community, and labor especially is important in the city of Miami, where our thousands of employees are represented, police, fire, and general employees, solid waste, by contracts of organization that get to negotiate with their employer. And if they don't have a champion in the mayor's office, they get walked all over by the administration. The good news is that the mayor gets to choose that manager and be that champion. And that can make sure that those thousands of working families do have a safe place to work and organize. Now, going out beyond that into the community, one of my favorite parts of my job as city commissioner was chairman of the Business Improvement District of Coconut Grove. In 2015, when I got the job, it was buckled bricks and paper on the windows, and you can see what Coconut Grove is like today for the small business owners, the restaurants, the retail, the hotels, the office. It is buzzing because of support for small business and making it easier for them to work with the city.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Real quick, I'm data focused, intelligence led, and I've been looking at numbers in this city for more than 10 years. I would love to understand how many of those businesses are black owned businesses in this city, percentage wise. I would love to understand how come we continue to say, I did this, I did that, when we're using, we the people, property taxes and other income that comes from us in order to fund these initiatives. But my time is up.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Mr. Belgrade, climate change. Miami received 16.5 inches of rain last month. That's a 66% increase over the average rainfall. What would you do to address flooding issues in Miami if you were mayor?
Well, first is to bring new money into Miami, right? There's a lot of wealth, right? But there's also a lot of technology. Right. And Miami is actually a small city, but has the big weight of actual nation state. Right. What I would do is to fund the pumps, right. Find the actual critical areas, make sure that every plant that actually goes out have a climate resilience and an actual plan to counter it. So we want to work on preventative, right, as well as inform the city. Prepare our citizens and protect them from the results of this. Listen, we can't control the climate getting hotter, right? But we actually have the technology to make sure that when you drive and it rains for 5 minutes, your car doesn't come to submarine, right? To make sure that when people come and it's raining, we don't have to use gondolas to travel, right? And we do that with more funding and smart funding.
Commissioner Russell?
Thank you. At Tuesday night's debate, some people thought the most exciting things that were said that were the quips. The most exciting, well, not exciting, the most dramatic thing that was said that I heard was that more than half of the candidates up there felt that climate change was still out for debate. More than half the people on that stage, at least, running for mayor weren't sure yet whether to believe the science. We know it, we see it, and even if you forget the science and just have to deal with the plumbing, it is something we are addressing. So while I was commissioner at the city of Miami, not only did we implement the Miami Forever Bond, which was really hard to get on the ballot and then pass, but it has $400 million in it, half of which is for storm surge and sea level rise. We also passed a stormwater master plan to tell us exactly how to spend it and when. Problem is they're not spending it appropriately and at the right pace. We did put in one-way tidal valves and pumps, and we started working on streets, but there's so much left to do. The bigger question, though, is what we're doing about the long-term effects of climate change as a city, and I'd love to talk more about that when we get a chance.
Thank you. Commissioner Higgins?
Well, the Stormwater Master Plan hasn't been implemented, and even if they decided to implement it, they couldn't get permits out their own door to start these projects. The permitting system at the City of Miami is an absolute disaster. It doesn't matter who you are, what you're trying to build. You want to stop a street from flooding? 2 to 3 years to get a permit. You want to get a new roof on your house so you'll protect yourself from the next hurricane? 2 to 3 years to get a permit. It was the same at the county when I arrived at the county commission. I passed legislation and the funding to totally revise the permitting computer system. The last time I permitted an affordable housing building, it took 107 days, just over 3 months to get those permits issued. An equivalent project entered nearly the same day in the city of Miami, took 15 months. The first thing we need to do is get to look under the hood at the city of Miami and make this city start working. If we can't get a permit issue, we can't get anything.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Hepburn?
I won't touch on the stormwater master plan or the forever bonds. You already heard about that, so I co-sign. But I also want to have a conversation about, Ms. Higgins is right. Like the person that I will appoint to be the city manager has a whole lot of stuff we have to do, because the sad part is we haven't been efficient or effective in the city for years. And some reasons for the people that got elected. 2, one of the verticals that I would have in my mayor office is actually to pretty much attack one thing that's very serious in our city, but that is, how are we going to improve Miami's resilience to sea level rise, extreme heat, and hurricanes, but literally strategically have a plan where we are utilizing our parks and reimagining how we do our green spaces. We are doing our septic to sewer tank transfers. We are affording more opportunities for investment and cross-collaboration and public-private partnerships, and bringing in our 501c3s and COBs and all other cool people in this city. But most importantly, we may have to go faster than going through the days. So I'm going to utilize something called Section 5 of the Charter. I want y'all to look it up. It's called the petition, because that's how I'm going to push policy in this city forward, regardless of who gets elected as city commissioners.
Thank you. So let's move on to some questions about the mayor's office. So beginning with Commissioner Higgins, Miami Mayor Francis Suarez has led the city for 8 years. Give him a grade and tell us what your criteria are.
I guess he's a C, but it's very polarizing, right? He got an A in some subjects and he probably got a D- in others. So I'll tell you what Francis did right. When Francis speaks about our community, he speaks from the heart about the magic that exists here. And as a result, we have been fortunate enough to attract a lot of attention. New businesses have moved here, people have come here, whole new industries like our blockchain industries have been born here. So that's the A part of the job. But what has come along with that was an absolute neglect and forgetfulness about the people that lived here now, because it got more unaffordable. And there was no attention from the mayor's office nor the administration on the things we've been talking about, building affordable housing so people can continue to live and thrive here, the folks that have always lived and worked here.
Thank you. Mr. Bergen?
I would have to give a B-, and I would say that making it an average, right? Because of certain things that maybe beyond his control, but or neglect, but also for a mayor has to do more than just the X's and O's or dealing with the people and permits. You have to inspire the world. You have to be the chief brand officer. But you also have to be the actual resident Batman for your actual residents, right? Creating solutions across the board, right? What Mayor Suarez has done on the world stage for Miami cannot be denied. It needs not be undervalued, but to be built upon, right? We are in the ground zero for a technological revolution, right? Miami will pierce the municipal vest of this legislative veil. We have not even begun to harness the economic power from that and how we can actually apply it for the citizens. Let's lower the prices and raise the standards, but have efficiency for the public beneficiary.
Thank you. Mr. Hepburn?
All right, y'all. So Mayor Suarez actually would get an A for being our chief marketing officer of the city. I gave him an A. He would get an F for being the mayor of the city of Miami, okay? Let's be very honest about what he does and what he does not do. The mayor has no clue, or he just don't really care, about what he should actually be executing as the mayor day-to-day in the city, as far as being the presiding officer of the day is, making sure that we are effectively pushing forth plans, advocating and making sure civic engagement in my city isn't 80-some+% of folks don't care, don't vote, don't get involved. Having people appointed to standing committees that we have in our city so we can actually localize our government and push forth innovation through our neighborhoods. The mayor does none of that. But he's a great chief marketing officer. Actually, once I get elected, I probably will hire him for that if he wants to come back, since I know he's auditioning for these other jobs. But I'm gonna be very honest about what I'm going to do. Because me and the mayor shares this at least. Like, my administration is gonna be focused on a philosophy that is, how do I keep money in the pockets of my citizens? How do I make sure we are leaning into innovation the right way? And then how do I make sure we reimagine public safety in my city, as well as enhance our neighborhoods? And every policy that the mayor, Michael Hepburn, will push forward will be in those three aspects of what we do.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Russell?
Thank you for saying that, Michael. And I don't know why the rest of us are being so polite, because I don't give him an F. I'd give him a G if I could for grift. This mayor has eroded the trust of our city in its government, and that is inexcusable. His ability to welcome industries from outside Miami to profit on Miami does not benefit our residents and neighbors and those who need housing solutions here. In fact, it exacerbates it. And instead of utilizing that wealth coming in to then jujitsu that into solutions for us, he's simply taking credit for it and profiting off it personally. $12 million internal, his own wealth has increased over the last 2 years. And from what? I can tell you what, as mayor of Miami, I will never accept a job or a bag of money from anyone who needs City of Miami's help.
Thank you. We're going to segue into another question now, and that's a perfect segue. All right, cool. So the next question, and Michael, you can be up first on this one. So Mayor Suarez has been criticized for, among other things, accepting $10,000 monthly consulting payments from a Miami developer who was doing business with the City of Miami. 2 questions. Should Miami's mayor be allowed to have outside employment? And will you promise to work full-time for the City of Miami and forego any outside employment if elected? Yeah, go ahead.
Very true. Thank you for stating the facts. And this is the issue that I have with recycled politicians or millionaires or people with political dynasty last names running for office in the city. It's because they do the same thing. So we may sit here and point the finger at Francis, but folks are taking money from those same developers, those same PACs, those same entities that Francis does. But then they want to sit here and call him out when you look at their contributions, it's coming from the same families, it's coming from the same entities, the same companies. So let's be very honest about that for the folks that's running for office. Okay, second, when it comes down to are we going to have a real conversation about should your mayor be full-time, let's have a real conversation about what the mayor actually can do in the city. The mayor workload in the city is actually part-time work, y'all. If y'all literally look at the charter and what the person can and cannot do, outside of, appointing the city manager and hopefully being a great inspirational leader. Because most of the time, it's not like they're doing anything else for us. So in my personal opinion, until my citizens rise up so we can actually put some guardrails on what our government is, no, I probably will continue to serve as part-time. My advocacy is going to look very different than Suarez. But then also when it comes down, should it be a full-time job? I don't think we're there yet. I actually will put that money into my people first compared to paying a mayor or any city commissioners more money to serve in this city.
Thank you. Mr. Baldrick.
Humans never change, but our technology always changes. But it's through our technology that we have the opportunity to arc towards our highest aspirations. Like I said, working as an Overtown Community Oversight Liaison, as a chairperson for the Cryptocurrency Task Force, as the author of a state bill, I can see how it actually works. All right. We're never going to get past that unless we upgrade our systems. And that's why I definitely believe that the mayor of Miami, of this city, needs to be full-time, needs to give their all, right? Because this is the leader of South Florida, which is the leader of Florida, and actually is going to set the precedent for the rest of the country. Right? Miami is closer to the White House than Washington, D.C. And that fact needs to be leveraged for the average person. And that's why I propose that we put it on an open ledger. Every record, every decision, it's essentially that record now, but it's in paper, it's in file cabinets, it's in the knowledge of people that's here, right? There are tools to do it. We have them, we need to implement them. So then we don't have to worry about human fragility or temptation.
Thank you. Mr. Russell?
Thank you. I definitely want to separate the two different things of campaign finance versus taking personal jobs on the side. When I first came into office, you couldn't search who had given whom how much money. And so I sponsored the system that the clerk now uses that not only logs in a searchable format every dollar that flows to any campaign or candidate or PAC, and then also you can cross-reference that with who is registered to lobby whom. That system never existed before I got here. And I realized that transparency is the key. Sunlight is the disinfectant. You don't want to just drive it underground further and hide it. You want everyone to know who's receiving money from whom. But those side hustles, that's a real problem. And it's not a factor of because we don't pay our elected officials enough. A commissioner makes about $100,000, a mayor makes about $120,000. And so to tell them they can't have outside work is one thing, but I really believe the important thing is that we have a better system of tracking who they're getting money from on their personal side to make sure it doesn't conflict. Because our system currently is on an honor system, and clearly there is none.
Thank you. Commissioner Higgins?
I have no intention of having outside employment. I will be the mayor full-time. Because it's a full-time job. The city of Miami is Miami-Dade County's flagship brand. If our economy doesn't succeed, our county doesn't succeed. If our place isn't where visitors want to come, everything collapses. You have got to be paying attention 24 hours of every day, 7 days a week. By the way, I haven't had any outside employment in the entire time I've been on the county commission. I'm in my 8th year. It is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, that a mayor would take a penny from anybody else to pay their car payment. The salary of the mayor is just fine. And by the way, you should do this. This is to be of service to the people. It has to be that way. And it's shameful that our current mayor doesn't believe that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got to.
Okay, but very quick.
Let's be very quick.
Listen, y'all. You cannot sit here and you cannot be reelected to county commission, knowing that you're going to run for mayor, quit on your residence so they have to have a special election or appointment, whatever you're going to do, literally run for another office from the office that you're in, and then sit here and talk about this. Like, come on. Like, we are literally utilizing the system for fair game. Like, people are literally taking advantage of the lack of engagement in the city to take advantage of what we do and do not do, but then we want to call out other people. It's just...
Thank you.
Maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
Pardon me, I've actually been personally addressed.
Yeah, you were.
All right. I live in the city of Miami. I love the city of Miami. Like all of you, I watch the dais. It is absolute chaos in the city of Miami. When the city hall is in chaos, nothing gets done for the people. So let me tell you what I did in this campaign. I went door to door. I am the only person of any candidate who is qualified by petition. Over 3,000 residents of this city asked me to run to serve as their mayor. I am proud of the fact that I am standing up for the city we love so that it can have the future it deserves.
That's right.
Okay. So I'd like to move on to individual questions for the commissioners, and again, that's a pretty good segue. So this is for you, Commissioner Russell. When you were a city Miami commissioner, you ran for higher office twice, and you left your seat on the Miami City Commission with 10 months left in your term. How can voters trust you to serve a full 4-year term as mayor if elected?
Fair question. I did leave 10 months before the end after serving 7 out of 8 years. I left very proud of the accomplishments that I did have. I left with the strongest environmental legislation that the city's ever had, stronger than any city in the entire country. I brought forward affordable housing legislation that had never been done before, and some thought was impossible, but it works, and it did. I brought in funding sources without raising taxes. I brought in new infrastructure to finish the Baywalk that's taken decades. And I left with my head held high in that respect. But I saw the food fight it had become. As a legislator, there was nothing left for me to do in those last few months. And so I was okay reaching for higher office, and had I won, people wouldn't look back and say it was a bad choice. In retrospect, yeah, I do regret it. And I would stay my full 4 years if elected mayor.
Thank you. So, Commissioner Higgins, you have pretty much answered this question, but I wrote it, so I'm going to ask it. And another 30 seconds for you. So, same question. You were re-elected last year to a 4-year term on the county commission. Now you're running for mayor. When voters elect someone to serve, do you think it's important for that person to serve out their full term?
I think it's important to do the thing you were called to do and which your experience leads you to do. The city of Miami is at a precipice. We live in a country where people are hating on each other all the time. We live in a state that puts people in cages. It is time to have this city in the hands of a person that cares about other people. I had to step up. But let me answer the other question. I will only serve 3 years in my first term because one of my first acts is going to be move the next mayor's election to 2028 so we can expand turnout. We must have city elections in even-numbered years like the Stronger Miami team is doing right here from Miami. You cannot steal an extra year. You must give up an extra year.
Great, thank you. So, Mr. Hepburn, this is a question for you. The Miami City Commission voted this year to add 300 new police officers to the city's existing police force, even though the city's crime rate is down significantly. The additional officers will cost Miami taxpayers $161 million over the next 5 years. Is this the best investment the city can make in its future?
No. So I'm a graduate of the Miami Police Department Citizens Academy, served as a volunteer cop or citizens on patrol for years in the city, so definitely very tied to public safety in the city of Miami. But at the end of the day, y'all, our budget is our moral document. We say that, but most of our cities and county commissions don't, and mayors, don't actually execute that. So in order to spend that amount of money on additional officers in the city that is experiencing historically low crime, I mean, petty thefts and things like that are still pretty rampant, but as far as like homicides, that type of stuff. When I'm literally having 600 plus people that are still unhoused. I'm living in a city where 8,000 black people, since I started running for office on September 20th of last year, have left this city because they can't afford it. And working class people in the city continue to leave each and every day because of housing costs, jacked up streets, and all type of other stuff that we can talk about. For you to tell me that the best thing that we can do at this time with our money is to put more cops on the street when people barely can even eat in my city, y'all definitely know that's not the type of mayor I would be. So that's how I answer that.
Thank you. This question is for you, Mr. Bogren. Miami's current mayor has been a strong advocate for cryptocurrency. In 2021, the city launched its own branded cryptocurrency, Miami Coin. The city made $5 million on that venture, but Miami Coin later crashed, and Mayor Francis Suarez personally lost money. Is it appropriate for the city of Miami and its mayor to promote an investment opportunity that may cause people to lose money?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I want to actually set the record straight too. The Miami Coin project actually had nothing to do with the city of Miami as far as the construction, the initiation, the promotion. What it was a donation, right, for the profit. But we have to be honest about what it ultimately was a rug pull. And actually, in my position as the chairman of the cryptocurrency task force for Miami-Dade County, we received a lot of inquiries about that. A lot of people got actually hurt. Now, I've been a member of this actual technology community since 2012, and have spent a lot to actually represent what it can do for the actual people, right? If you have friends that are in another business, right, and you have foresight knowledge, you can invest in it, and then you can promote it because people don't understand quite what it is, and you can make $11 million, your friends can make $150 million, but then not actually do what you should do so that the people actually lose, that's horrible. And as mayor, I'll make sure that'll never happen again. As a matter of fact, I will take to task all of these crypto companies, the AI companies that are making millions and billions, some of them actually based right here. Why can't we get some of that money for actual free internet for all of Miami? Why can't we get that to have a housing subsidy? Why can't we have a grocery credit, right? Many nation states, like Singapore, like Monaco, like these cities, but that have a huge GDPs, they do the same thing. We need to reimagine how we think about Miami.
Okay. Right? Thank you so much. We're running over on time, so I've got two more questions. We'll do a lightning round here, starting with you, Commissioner Russell. There are 13 candidates competing to become Miami's next mayor in what is likely to be a low turnout election, meaning there's likely to be a runoff. If you get knocked out in the first round, which of your opponents do you think would make the best mayor?
I'm not counting on getting knocked out, so I'm not answering.
So no answer?
I can easily tell you who I wouldn't be supporting. And the folks on this stage, now please note, these are non-partisan races, and this is very important to note. By law, we are not allowed to advocate by party, not at the doors, not in our advertising. We're here as non-partisan candidates, even though we all, of course, have our party. But I want you to go to the personalities and the priorities of those who are running, who are not on the stage, and recognize who they will not be taken care of in this city. Emilio Gonzalez has said he will basically militarize our police against the homeless. This is not the way to take care of the homeless situation in our community. Homeless people are people first and homeless second. You can find so many cases within the policies of the competitors who are not on this stage to know why they are not fit or qualified to lead this city in a very important time. In a very important time. We have major crises of housing right now. People are fighting and struggling to live here. So this is not a game. This is not a contest about us as personalities and who wins and loses. I had not intended to come back, but I'm here, and I'm going to do it.
Great.
Thank you.
Commissioner Higgins, would you like to answer the question?
Listen, here's what I can tell you. What we've got going on in this race is scary. All right, so we have one gentleman that left the airport because there was a whole lot of fraud and money laundering going there. This is the same person that ran the dysfunctional permitting system, that ran the code enforcement department that put small businesses out of business. So that's not an option. Then we have Joe. Well, I don't need to talk about that. You already understand the issues with that. $63 million in fines, $20 million of it is our money. Another person arrested, removed by the governor. Right? That says a lot. On and on and on. And the other one was mayor, I don't know, in 1942. What did he tell us the other night? And in fact, it was like a trip down memory lane. But when he was mayor, he refused to let Nelson Mandela visit our city. Like, why would you vote for anybody that isn't here tonight? That's my question.
Mr. Hepburn, do you have a favorite candidate other than yourself?
I do not. I'm in the church too. First of all, I can't lie. I struggle. Let me just tell the truth again, like I always do. Listen, y'all. The only reason I decided to do this is my love letter to my city. Okay, I've been in this game called advocacy or activism for a very long time, and the truth is, the more conversations we have with our elected officials, black and white, Democrat or Republican, when you really break down the issues and the policies that they push forth and the money that they receive, it all do the same thing. So at the end of the day, I've been telling people this, very honest. If you own a home in this city, and I'm not the mayor, please try to keep your home and stay. If you do not own a home in the city, and if you are black, you need to relocate. And then if you don't own a home in the city, you're working class, I definitely think you need to reconsider moving to another city boundary as well. Because this city is not fighting for me, and this city will not fight for you unless we, the people, are actually seated at the table of influence and government in order to do it. And we do not have that right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Belgrade.
It's not about the people. It's about the system. We live in a municipal system, and it's broken. It doesn't matter who you pick. You can change the pieces on the board, and the same result will have. A half-penny tax here, a half-penny tax there, a ban here, a ban there. It's the same. It's the same, right? I'm from the blockchain. We say put it on chain, right? We have a way that we can change the system from being a popsicle stand, from a 9 to 5, into a high-powered vending machine, right? A way that we can reduce fees from $1 to 10 cents and make it 10 times more, right? All of that money, all of this glitz and glamour needs to finally be put into the actual system where nobody can steal, and we have the best efficiency in the whole world.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to move to audience questions now. So if you'd like to ask a question, we have somebody that will come around with a microphone. If you would raise your hand. And please, again, no statements. We want questions, and direct your question to a specific candidate.
Hi everybody, my name is Jack. I'm the secretary of the Coconut Grove Democrats. And my question is, honestly, to either of you. One of the things that we aren't talking about, that it seems like everybody is really afraid to talk about, is unity in our city. There's a lot of separation. And what's really sad is it seems to be a very chosen segregation based on our politics. What are you all gonna do to unify our city again?
You want to take it?
Yeah, Ken, why don't you start? And we'll go down the line.
Our residents have honestly lost hope, and they really don't believe that the system can be fixed, that the corruption that is inherent in our system can't be fixed, that our affordable housing crisis is beyond our reach. And I'm telling you, there absolutely is hope and reason to be optimistic. You need good leadership with ethics and drive. And then it's got to be a viable person who can win the election and then implement those policies on a difficult commission. So please don't give up. Please know that there are people fighting who do care. You've got them all here on this stage, and they want your vote. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's go right down the line. Commissioner Higgins?
Yes, I do think it's about values-based leadership. And at least in our city, we lack a lot of that, right? These are these legacy dynasty folks that it's the dad, it's the brother, it's the cousin, it's the this or that. And they haven't had to work their way up, right? And to earn the respect of the people. And the other thing that's very important, we're here in a room of Democrats. But when you get elected, as I have, and I do not represent a Democratic district. I've been elected in a Republican-leaning district. When you win, you do not get to represent just the people that voted for you. You have to represent every person you can.
Thank you. Mr. Hepburn?
Co-sign on both of the previous statements. But the truth is also, listen y'all, we have never been a melting pot. This has always been a salad bowl with different dividers. Maybe sure your tomatoes don't touch this and this don't touch, like that's how I talk to people all the time that's never been in Brickell, people that's in Brickell, never been in Little Havana, people in Liberty City, never been in either, right? So, and it's been like that for decades. So policy actually helps us move this thing forward. So having a participatory budgeting program, having a Miami Citizens Academy so people can engage from different neighborhoods, having different campaign finance reforms so folks like a democracy dollar so people can actually be involved in this process regardless of your social economic status or where you live or what you have done. Having real policy where it is centered around people, working class people, regardless of your color or language in this city is how we push forward. But it will still be tough because remember, all we've known is salad bowl mentality. We've never in the city been a melting pot.
Great, thank you. Mr. Belgrade?
The thing that I want to start with is actually, I would say that the city is unified. Actually, the city is unified more than it's ever been before. We're unified in the thought that we know that we're being squeezed. We're unified in the thought that we know that things are not getting better. That no matter who we vote for, what we do, that the same thing goes on and on. The people who you see are going to be back in front of you again. They're unified that we know that something needs to change, right? And just like we have the computer that actually expanded, or we have the internet, we now have the blockchain, right? The answer is a community answer for all of us, but at the single point is bringing in more technology for accountability and efficiency, right?
Great, thank you. All right, next question.
My name is Maria Luisa Castellanos. I'm a member of the DEC and the Coral Gables Dems. And I read the Affordable Housing Master Plan, and I think it's a great idea. It includes a bank, basically includes a bank that's supposed to be funded by the city of Miami. And it's a great idea because it takes the money out of the pockets of developers and puts it into the pockets of the residents and anybody who wants to build affordable housing. As an architect, I've seen that developers generally do not have any DEI. So there's never a chance for a woman architect to get a project or a black architect to get a project. It's the same 5 people that get all the projects. So I want to know of you 4 who supports funding the Affordable Housing Master Plan.
Show of hands.
Oh, yeah.
And if I
This is
could,
the way of funding it, though. We can't do it the same way we always have. Right? That risk is going to be inherent in everything that we do. Right? The city is.
At this point, we just need it funded. We don't really need.
And we have solutions to actually do it.
We
Actually,
need money, period.
more money, exactly.
We need to
Okay.
have money and not money in the hands of developers.
Yeah, but also going back to your point, we need equity too.
Let's let them answer the question.
what she's referring to is exactly that FIU study that was commissioned by the city, an Affordable Housing Finance Corporation to be created by the city and funded with our bond dollars so that we could leverage that. We had $100 million for affordability in that bond, that instead of just spending it on a couple projects, we could leverage it as a nest egg and multiply it and utilize the revenue from that to do big projects. But it takes the projects out of the hands of the commissioners, and it takes their leverage away for shaking down those projects. And I'm absolutely for it. It would be the best thing for the city because the relationship between politicians and real estate is very incestuously horrible here.
Great. Do we want to move on to the next one, or Commissioner Higgins?
Yes, so way back when, I can't remember how long ago, the county on paper established an affordable housing trust fund, which is similar to what you're talking about. It had never been funded, and so when I got elected, I might have been a member of PACT, and so I had advocated for funding the Affordable Housing Trust Fund as part of PACT. And I wrote the legislation to do just that. And so now we have a system where developers do pay into Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and those are used particularly as gap financing and to leverage so that we can build affordable housing. It's already gotten about over $50 million worth of funds into that. So that could be done at the city as well.
Great, thank you so much.
To that.
Yeah, Mr. Hepburn.
Thank you for bringing it up. One of the cool initiatives that we're going to push forward is our anti-displacement relief fund for our property owners, folks that own a home in the city, that have homestead exemption, that's been here 20 years plus. We're going to freeze your taxes, and then for the next 20 years, you will not pay an increase in the city of Miami because we're going to utilize concepts related to the finance corporation or other entities that we can do. We've done in Atlanta and other cities that I can bring to Miami to make sure that we are not displacing my legacy residents and folks that actually help build this city. And we're going to financially fund it without just developers and lobbyists and corporations calling the shots.
Great, thank you so much. Next question?
Miami-Dade Community College is one of the most important institutions in our county, and of course, several of the campuses are in the city of Miami. And of course, in the past week, we've read that the Board of Trustees for the community college, as I understand it, gave this very valuable piece of property to the state with no compensation. There's a lot that's not being reported about exactly how this has happened, but it seems that that's what's happened. And of course, now we hear that the purpose of that, led by our governor, is to have the Trump Presidential Library in the city of Miami, which of course will have an enormous impact on the city. So my question is, if any of you believe that the leadership of the city of Miami has a voice, has a way that it should speak on this subject. It's not clear to me how the city of Miami leadership might do that.
Awesome.
But if you think that they do, what are your thoughts about that?
Thank you. Mr. Bowman?
Miami, the state of Florida has something called sunshine laws. Right? So that means that every announcement, every public gathering of people who hold your public trust must be under the sunshine. It's actually where you get Florida Man from. It's not that it's so many extra wild people in Florida. It's that you can see everything. In other places, you have to request it. The people who hold the trust of that land were supposed to have a sunshine notice. To my knowledge, there wasn't a proper sunshine notice. There wasn't even any comment or debate before it was unanimously voted. Right. So we have legal mechanisms to actually challenge that. Right. And so lawsuit. Right. But being vigilant, but understanding the law and perceiving the threats and being decisive in action.
Commissioner Russell?
There is no greater immigrant community in the country than the city of Miami. And for our leadership not to stand up and be proud of our immigrant community and recognize when they've received a slap in the face is sinful. To see our mayor, because he wanted to run for president, go down to the border and the border wall and talk about those criminals crossing over, when he lives in a city that's built by immigrants, none of whom has a straight story of how they got here. And to not recognize that. So absolutely, this president's monument being right next to the Freedom Tower is such a slap in the face to the immigrant community.
Thank you. Commissioner Higgins?
So I sadly will live 3 blocks away from this blight on our community. And it is so sad that it will be located adjacent to the Freedom Tower, which has been welcoming Cuban American visitors to show up on our shores, live here, work here, and be embraced by this beloved country. And now we are going to have a building dedicated to hatred. And I've spoken up so many times, what's going on with TPS, let me be very clear, not only is it inhumane, right? It is economically dangerous. 15% of Miami-Dade's population are here on temporary protected services. Those are fathers, those are mothers, those are sisters, those are brothers, those are uncles, those are children. They live here, they work here, they pay taxes here. If the federal government continues on this track, supported by what's coming out of Tallahassee, our economy is in deep danger, and it is indeed a responsibility for local officials to make sure when we're on the media and talking to the media that we say these things loudly and clearly, because the fabric of our community is at risk and the strength of our economy is in danger.
Thank you. Mr. Hopkins?
So y'all know I can't lie. So let me level set. Almost 50% of City of Miami residents that voted last November voted for the President of the United States in this city. Let's be very honest about that. 17,800 plus black people in this city, mainly the ones that I talked to, vast majority of ones, did not vote for him, okay? So when we talk about immigrant communities, what immigrant community are we actually referring to? Because my Haitian brothers and sisters and Jamaican brothers and sisters and black folks in the city, that wasn't our choice. So a lot of my Cuban American brothers and sisters, they clearly stand for the president, and they would love to have it next to Wolfson or any other campus. So let's be very honest about the city and the power struggle and who actually has influence and who voted for what, and have some real conversations about that first before we make it seem like we all kumbaya together collectively not pushing forth this policy.
Thank you. So next question, please.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. I would like to start posing this question to my fellow delegate with Kamala Harris, Commissioner Higgins. My property values and quality of life, like I believe all of us here, are directly connected to water quality. When developers destroy seagrass beds and mangroves, it's actually the Department of Environmental Management, DERM, that is a watchdog and fines them. So I am profoundly concerned about the recent budget cuts. To me, and maybe I'm not understanding this correctly, that seem to take the teeth out of DERM. And I'd like to have any answers. If you could start with Commissioner Higgins. Thank you so much.
Sure, I can. Yeah, happy to explain that. This is something that our mayor, Daniela Levine-Cobb, has been working on for almost a year and began presenting to the commission about 6 months ago. She wanted to make sure that Durham became the policy arm of Durham, right? The people that are issuing code, the enforcement that you're talking about, making environmental policy, were elevated to a department. And so Durham, the policy arm of Durham, now reports directly to the mayor's office. So everything around seagrass management and all of the policies that we may need in an evolving environmental center are there. What she's done is she's left all of the permitting issue people in the department they were already in. They were already reporting to Lourdes. And so the same people are in the same place, in the same office, with the same boss. So she has elevated the policy people and left the permitting people where they were. So I think there was a lot of misnomers.
Does anybody else want to respond to that? Commissioner Russell?
I'm sorry, this was a horrible vote of the county commission, and Commissioner Higgins was a part of it. All of the environmental organizations that care about this and tried to raise this alarm went straight to the mayor and begged her. And she said the votes are already done, they're there. And what this did was it took the permitting power away from Durham over development. This is not good. They are a very strong organization and they have been weakened, but it was positioned to look like we've strengthened them to make them a standalone. This was a horrible environmental decision, and Commissioner Higgins voted for it.
Yeah. Mr. Beaudry, do you want to comment?
It's going to be more of the same. It's people here that are the leaders that they can just go off what they know, right? So it's small little games that go back and forth. Right? We need a real system that has transparency, right? So that we, as the actual municipal system, can begin to work for the environment, but for the people. Right? Make no mistake, we're on a clock. We're on a countdown to disaster. There's T-minus to catastrophe. And the regular players are going to keep playing unless we get serious about it.
Thank you. Mr. Hopper?
Yeah, I won't bore you all. I just co-sign on what Mr. Russell said. We went to Commissioner Hardiman, we went to Commissioner McGee, we went to Commissioner Regalado, and I got the same response Russell just brought up. And we actually brought up this concern and was actually trying to figure out where's the transparency on it. Can somebody break down who's going to be over what? Professionally speaking, how is this making us better? We was told the votes are already there. They've already lined up some support, including the person to my left, and just let it go. So at the end of the day, we have people running for office, but it's like I'm telling y'all, are we actually having some real conversations and doing some research about the people that y'all are pushing forward?
Thank you. Next question, please.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Raisa Fernandez, and I live in Commissioner Higgins' office in district in Little Havana. Sorry. So this question really hits hard to me because I was born and raised in this city, and I'm an avid biker, businesswoman. I have my mom here with me. I have a son that goes to public school in Little Havana, and I'm very proud that I have an amazing public school in our district. But the question goes beyond this. The question becomes, as a midlife 48-year-old woman that has a homestead property in the city of Miami, for the next 20 years, if nothing changes, I will be paying $15,000 in property taxes and insurance to invest and put my money in the city. If we multiply that by 20 years, that's $300,000. How would you all take that money, take those investments that come into the city of Miami, and make sure that either it is protected and invested correctly, and how would you address that issue of affordability and homesteader, not only for seniors, but for middle class, mid-age families that are trying to stay grounded here for another.
Thank you. Who wants to field that first? Go ahead, Mr. Bowden.
Your city should have a plan and should have an actual program to address your concerns. whether that's an office, a watchdog, or a set of policies that actually are mechanisms, they should go specifically for you. But the technology that we're using is the same system, right? I will make sure that we have an account, right, that is backed up by policy, but the technology, where all the money, we'll know where it's traced, and that is specifically to you specifically. Encrypted, protected, and there forever.
Thank you. Mr. Hepburn?
So I think you might have already heard me talk about how we're going to freeze the property taxes for homestead exemption residents in our city. So that's definitely one. And then that's not just for elders. Pretty much that concept is you've been here 20 years, so I don't care if you're old or young. If you had the home for 20 years, we're going to try to push it forward. Second, I've been talking to our state legislative representatives for about 3 years now, pushing forth different ideas and policy in order for us to increase our homestead exemption here in Miami-Dade County. So in a sense, we can lower your costs that way as well. And then if you go to the website, since I know I got to finish, there's 3 other policies that I think you will love that our administration will push forward through our city manager office, as well as some of our partnerships with the county commission.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Higgins?
Yeah. So if you begin to look at the city's tax rolls, it's kind of gone like this, right? And you begin to wonder, are we getting all the services for all the money that they've been taking in? So I think, as I mentioned before, you got to look under the hood. Right, we tend to get distracted by what goes on the commission day as well. These guys are all yelling at each other. But the mayor needs to get in there through the city manager and really look at every dollar, what's being spent and what's not being spent. The county for the past 2 of the 3 years has been able to lower the millage, and the city did not do that. So a full financial and deep dive needs to be done so that we can make sure that the money's being spent properly. And guess what? Like the CITT money, remember, people complain the trolleys don't come or work as well? That's because the city was misusing and misspending CITT money. It did an audit itself. The county had to go in and audit and tell them they had to change their practice.
Thank you. Commissioner Russell?
So the waste, fraud, and abuse that does use our tax dollars is rampant in the city of Miami. You read about it all the time. Our mayor is guilty of it. Our commissioners are guilty of it. And, you know, Democrats don't tend to be ones to say, hey, let's reduce taxes, but there is so much waste. You could see a tremendous savings just if you could get rid of a lot of that fraud. And the protectionism, having a small commission, this is another reason I advocate for the Stronger Miami larger commission concept with smaller districts. That protectionism of each other is why Joe Carollo's legal bills are still being paid, regardless of him having been found liable for millions and tens of millions of dollars. That affects us. But I do have programs that will relieve seniors, at the very least, some of our most vulnerable, that will eliminate their property taxes if they've lived in their home for over 25 years, an easy opt-in situation, and other programs like that. We can find ways to address our tax policy so our taxes are used appropriately, and we save for those who are vulnerable.
Thank you. All right, so we've reached the part of the program where we do closing statements so we can get out of here on time. And let's go in reverse order and start with you, Mr. Beaudry. 2 minutes for a closing statement.
I'm Chairman Beaudry of the Miami-Dade County Cryptocurrency Task Force and of the Miami-Dade Digital Commission. Right, I'm a former secretary for the actual county, our Millennial Advisory Board, creating solutions for brain drain to keep people here. Right. I'm also a former Overtown Community Oversight Board liaison. I'm also working in Overtown. I lived in Town Park, and I lived in the swamps. Right? My job was seeing the faces of our community every single day, right? But also working with the policy and the programs and the people to make real solutions. Right? Now, I'm in the cryptocurrency world. Right? I'm in the blockchain world. And although some people have done things to actually hurt the trust of it, what I'm telling you is this, that we have a special opportunity as Miami. But we also have a grave risk, right? Don't just trust me, right? So don't just T-R-U-S-T anything or anyone, but T-R-U-S-S everything, right? Let us use the new technology that we have to actually fully inoculate, encrypt, and be distributed so that we can see what's going on. And these things can be ported, right? Humans never change, but the technology does. And we have that opportunity. right? So anybody telling you, just trust me, I'm the best candidate, they're the same. Put it on the chain. Let's see.
Thank you. Mr. Hepburn?
I'm going to stand up for this one. Definitely, since it's probably the last time I would ever run for office. So, I'm sorry. Maybe too far. Thank you, Mercedes. So, y'all, I started this conversation telling y'all I was speaking to my FIU cabinet and board members and all that cool stuff, and I told them about pouring life into the dreams and goals of our people. So that's where I'm going to end this. I'm running to be the mayor of my city, born and raised here, y'all, because I believe in what we can be, but I understand the true challenges of where we are not and what we are not, right? And we need to have someone that's going to be honest about what we can do and cannot do, because it is not an I thing. And that's what we hear a lot of times with our elected officials. It's always what I did. No. People that pay rent in this city, those are property taxes too. People that own houses in the city, that are property taxes. People that go to gas stations and grocery stores that pay sales tax, they are helping you push forth these initiatives. You didn't do anything by yourself in this city, in this county, and in this state. But we don't talk like that, y'all. So I'm gonna tell y'all this. As next mayor of Miami, I already know what the philosophy is centered around, right? Told you, real simple. Keep money in your pocket, lean into innovation, and enhance our neighborhoods, and reimagine public safety measures in the city. And it starts with ending corruption at City Hall and all throughout the city, because we are going to be fiscally responsible, because the people will be seated at the table of our government. My administration will be broken into 5 parts. We are going to rehab and develop affordable housing. We are going to improve Miami's resilience to sea level rise, extreme heat, and hurricanes. We are finally going to end this pay-to-play politics, as in stop corruption, but the real way, through policy and initiatives and transparency. All right? We are going to stand up for my children in this city and my seniors. And we darn sure, was going to curse, but I'm in the house of the Lord. Enhance our neighborhoods and public safety measures. And I'm going to do that because I do not have any more time to wait. I will use Section 5. I will use the 21 full-time employees in my office. I will use we the people to push for policy in this city. And that's why I am asking you for your vote and your support. And that's why I'm asking you to pray for me, but also pray for our city.
Thank you. Commissioner Higgins?
Well, in the coming weeks, you have a lot to think about, because the future of our city is in your hands, right? And because your vote is your voice, and it is how we implement change in America in a democratic system. I believe this city is at a precipice. If we don't have a leader that is both visionary and detail-oriented, it will not continue on a strong path. You've got to have somebody that shouts from the rooftops that Miami is amazing and that this place is worth living in and working in and saving from climate change. But you also have to get somebody in there to fix everything that's broken that doesn't work for you. They can't permit affordable housing. They don't have any money ready for it. They have no projects in the pipeline. There are parks that are supposed to be fixed that haven't been fixed. All I can tell you about myself is I'm in my 8th year on the county commission, and I've done all those things on the county commission. So I am ready to lead at the city of Miami by serving the people. It would be the honor of my lifetime should you choose to vote for me to serve as Miami's next mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Russell?
I had prepared words, and I had a near-death experience this week, and I shouldn't even bring it up because it's embarrassing. I got stuck under a refrigerator. And my life flashed before my eyes because the moving company said they wouldn't touch this refrigerator, and so I said, I can do that myself, and I got stuck under it. And the realization I said, if this doesn't work out and I die in this refrigerator, that's going to be the most embarrassing death during the campaign, so I've got to get out from under this.
That's a 6 feet under death.
But it really gave me some perspective, and what's at stake. I don't have prepared words for this closing. I just know what's important to everyone in this room, that we're here, and the things we care about, and the things we fight for. And I'm telling you, the cares we have are nonpartisan. The things that we need for our families transcend party, but we're torn by the parties to think against each other. I've knocked over 1,000 doors myself personally over the last 7 months, and it's been amazing because I knock on nonpartisan doors, I knock on Republican doors, and I knock on Democrats' doors, and they're not asking me about my party. They're asking about the corruption in the city, they're asking about their housing, and that's it. They want to live here, they want to live together. And I'm telling you, these things that bind us are more important than what drives us apart. And we need a mayor that brings this city together with the decorum, with the ethics to really lead us forward and solve these housing problems that we have. It's a real crisis. It is the crisis. It's the first time I've ever seen housing be above crime on a poll. Above your own life safety. You're worried about whether you have a place to live. So your choice in this race is incredibly important. I ask you for your vote. KenRussellForMayor.com. Please take a sign on your way out. Every sign you see in the entire city is a house that I've visited personally. So thank you for your support.
Thank you, Commissioner Russell. So that's the end of tonight's program, the forum. So let's have a round of applause for all four. That's it, so let's mingle.